Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic today is the United Methodist Church, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about the United Methodist Church a bishop from the United Methodist Church, the Reverend Dr. William W. Morris, who is a bishop of the Nashville area of the United Methodist Church. And of course, Bishop Morris, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And indeed to tell you how delighted we are to have you here this morning, Bishop Morris. We know some of the work that you've done in the community, in the church, and we were simply delighted to hear of your elevation and your appointment here to the Nashville district. But before we get into that, the United Methodist Church as such, Bishop Morris, let's have you to give our audience some information about William Morris before he became bishop of the United Methodist Church. So talk about your background, your experiences, and some of the things that you think our audience would be interested in terms of your background, education, and information.
Well, I want to express appreciation, my gratitude to you for the opportunity to come and to be a part of comments and to share some things in terms of the Nashville community. And as some may know, this is actually a return to Nashville for me because I had been here previously serving as a local pastor. And I served within the Nashville area exclusively, and basically in East Tennessee, but just because of where we are, as far as Middle Tennessee, I served John Wesley, which is South Nashville, 901 Benton Avenue, and also served First Church Gallatin, which is just north of Nashville. It's the county seat, actually. Sumner County, as you make your way toward Louisville. So those are basically the two congregations I serve within the Nashville community, although I had served prior to that in East Tennessee and served the local church. But I also need to say, because of the nature of our particular denomination, the other things that I did in terms of serving would be as a district superintendent. Now, there would be some denominations that would call the district superintendent the presiding elder. And previously, early on in our history, we call those persons presiding elders. We call them district superintendents now, which really means that they have supervisory responsibility over a district. And because of the nature of Middle Tennessee, it's basically rural, though there are some urban areas, such as Clarksville, of course, Murfreesboro, and Nashville. And the Tennessee Annual Conference, basically, Nashville would be the largest urban area you have. I served rural districts, and there are 7 districts, 7 geographical areas in the Tennessee Annual Conference. So I served Clarksville and also Murfreesboro, which means essentially I served the surrounding counties of Clarksville, the surrounding counties also of Murfreesboro, but was headquartered in Clarksville and Murfreesboro. So in addition to serving in the local church, I served as a district superintendent on 2 occasions. Somebody said if you don't get it right the first time,
do it the second time.
Right, get a chance to do it over again. But that is also another aspect of the denomination that involves programming. And that is the director of the conference council. And when you talk about ministry or program for this large geographical area, which is called the annual conference, and the various districts, and that person is responsible for working with the superintendents to help them in terms of creating program in the respective districts, where they are. So I also served twice, and I don't know what it is about the number 2, but twice as a conference council director, which again was in with the Tennessee Annual Conference, which essentially is is Middle Tennessee. And I guess maybe I ought to say what we are talking about geographically as it relates to land area. When you talk about the Tennessee Conference, you're really talking about Mont Eagle. From Mont Eagle actually to the Tennessee River is the area you're talking about. And of course you're talking the Kentucky border, down all the way to the Alabama border is what you're talking about when you talk about actually the Tennessee Annual Conference. Now, as you indicated, you talked about the Nashville area. And of course, that means I also have the Memphis Annual Conference, which means I cross over the Tennessee River, and everything that's west to Arkansas, again, I have that particular geographical area also, although presidential residential responsibility is here in Nashville, which is to say the offices here in Nashville. I cover basically Well, I guess sort of 3/4 of Tennessee. I don't have the eastern, quarter, which
And
would
so that's
be,
what you mean when you say you're Nashville, the Nashville area.
Yes,
You
yes,
included more
yes.
than Nashville, but
yeah,
there's a
that's
certain
right.
segment of Tennessee
Yeah,
that you're not.
that's right, yeah.
And that's why you cautioned about Tennessee Conference to
Yeah,
imply that you've already taken somebody else's area by including all of that. Yeah, I can understand. But what
Yeah.
about the United Methodist Church itself, Bishop Morris? I mean, when you talk about that church as an entity, how would you explain that church to our viewers today?
Well, I think what I would have to say is that there are many persons, when they think about the United Methodist Church, still refer to it as the Methodist Church because that's what they really remember.
Good. Okay.
But basically, we became the United Methodist Church in 1968 when we joined with the Evangelical United Brethren Church. Then we took the name of the United Methodist Church, although people still, when they talk about it, they will still say the Methodist Church. There were some EUB churches that resided within the Tennessee Conference, although they weren't heavily here within this area. They were basically in Nashville and Knoxville, the two areas where we had EUB. So it's the United Methodist Church. I would say anywhere you see the cross and the flame.
Good. Okay.
Whether it's on the highway and one of the blue signs, or whether it's the marquee outside, anywhere you see the cross and the flame, that's United Methodist Church. That's one of the things that's very distinctive in terms of being able to recognize it. But more than that, I guess I'd have to say that John Wesley, of course, was the founder of United Methodism, who came out of the Church of England background. He never left the Church of England, but was responsible for founding of the United Methodist Church. And of course, the church took on a different flavor, which was pretty typical of all that took place in terms of when the United States became independent and was formed. Now, one time you had the Northern Church and the Southern Church, essentially. And in 1939, again, the two branches, which were basically Wesleyan in belief, came together and formed the Methodist Church in 39 in Kansas City, and then in 68 became United Methodist Church. Now I have to say that because of the fact that there are several other denominations that are of a Wesleyan heritage or background, simply because most of those churches came out of what was formerly the Methodist Church. So essentially you have the CME Church, which at one point in time was the Colored Methodist Episcopal Church. But in the 50s, it changed its name to the Christian Methodist Church, Episcopal Church. Then you have the AME Church, which has maintained the same name. And Richard Allen, of course, was their first bishop, the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And then you have the AME Zion Church, which is the African Methodist Episcopal Church Zion. So all three plus ours, we all come out of the same tradition, though we are still basically four distinct denominations. Now, we do some things together. We do things together in terms of the community, in terms of local churches. And the bishops come together at least once every 4 years. And that particular group is the Pan-Methodist group. And we talk about how can we do ministry together? What are the ways in which we can further the Christian cause? Payne College is one of the colleges we work together with the CME Church. We work also, and of course Payne is in Augusta. We work also with Lane College, which is just down the road in Jackson, which is one of the strong churches in terms of the CME Church. So we're also involved in things we can do as far as education, is concerned. And we visit the annual conference meetings of one another, and when there is a bishop elected, then usually you have a person from one of those denominations who will be involved in the consecration service. So there is some interchange. Very good. That takes place.
Okay, and Bishop Morris, let me interrupt here for our first commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this short commercial break. The topic is the